What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys, let's talk about today's topic, if you will. I noticed a lot of comments about Will Fuller. There seems to be a lot of interest in Will Fuller, so I decided to dig deep here. My overall stance when it comes to free agency in the wide receiver position is to temper your expectations. No one knows what they're going to do, but I do know that we're going to have a difficult time creating more than about $10 to $12 million in cap space, guys. And even that's kind of a dream scenario of getting to $10 to $12 million range here, because we still got hurdles to clear that include over $40 million just to get back to base, just to get back to level, right? Just to meet the NFL's guidelines to actually begin free agency, to actually sign the players we currently have under contracts, to execute the trades of a player like Carson Wentz. So, when I looked at Will Fuller, let me just explain where I started. I started by looking at his draft class. Came out of the 2016 draft class, and basically here are the players, guys, that shape that draft class. Will Fuller was a first-round pick, then he had some second-round pick guys like Sterling Shepard and Michael Thomas. Tyler Boyd was in that draft class. Demarcus Robinson was in that draft class. Tyreek Hill was in that draft class. Richard Higgins, I'm sorry, guys. He was in that draft class, and Jakeem Grant from Miami was in that draft class. What I like about seeing this draft class in 2016 is you can really get a feel of the extensions and the contracts, because it's right up on that window when these guys would come around for that second contract. My question in regards to Will Fuller was really about, could I find any examples of young guys coming off of like this kind of contract year, taking a 1-year deal to kind of short things up, right? Because in my opinion, that's really what you'd be asking Will Fuller to do, which is just coming off of a 5th-year option year to where to where the Texans did option him for like $10-some million, guys. Like, that was what the option was in his contract. So we would have to actually show that there were guys probably in his draft class or around his draft class that similar situations, if you will, took a 1-year deal. And that's where we really have to start here. As I looked through this draft class and I was trying to find out, like, were there any examples of guys doing this? I did come across one, which was Demarcus Robinson with Kansas City. Last season, he signed a 1-year, $2.2975 million contract that came with like 137.5 in a signing bonus, guys. Really a very small signing bonus. But the full $2.297 million contract was guaranteed for him. I mean, would the Eagles be interested in a player like Will Fuller for that kind of price? If we can create enough cap space for it, sure. Yes, I mean, are we going to create $3 million in cap space? Of course we are, guys. But you got to remember, like I said, guys, we're talking about a very limited amount of cap space. And where do you want to allocate those funds once you gain it? Do you want to spend, like, say you got $10 million. If you spend 2.2, you're talking 2.297, you're talking about almost 23% of your cap space. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be careful with these type of things, guys. So I can't answer that fully, guys, but like, I can give you some examples. I can give you some information here. And Demarcus Robinson on a 1-year deal, yeah, I could see that. A lot of other interesting contracts we could break down here, guys. So to begin with, you could look at a guy like Richard Higgins out in Cleveland. He also got a 1-year deal, and he got like almost a minimum deal. So he got a 1-year, $910,000 contract, and he is technically a free agent this season out of Cleveland. That's another guy that you could get this guy for $1 to $2 million, and the Eagles are willing to part with that percentage of their cap space on a receiver. I would have interest in Richard Higgins. But he's already talking extensions with Cleveland. With Odell Beckham Jr. going down last season, Richard Higgins really kind of stepped up into that role, and you know, he was pretty good. I'm not going to lie, he was really, really good. That may not be a possibility. The other side to this is how do we know that these guys, somebody out here won't give Will Fuller a long-term deal? Will Fuller was coming off of a career season, right? He only played 11 games, which I'm going to get into that, guys, because I have concerns about this guy playing 16 games because he hasn't done it yet. But in 11 games, he put up 53 receptions for 879 yards, a 16.6, average, and 8 touchdowns. Like, there's merit to think that this guy could at least get a Jakeem Grant, level contract. Jakeem Grant, I know you could say, like, it's a little different, though, Gate, because he was more of a slot that could do punt and kick returns. I mean, the dude had multi-use here. But even Jakeem Grant with Miami got a 4-year, $19.7 million contract with a $3 million signing bonus, 7.5 guaranteed of that. He earns about almost $4 to $5 million a season. Like, even a contract like that, I wonder if that wouldn't completely push. To me, that seems like that would completely push Will Fuller out of the conversation, guys. Like, if you can't get him on a DeMarcus Robinson or Richard or Richard, I don't know how he says that name, guys, Higgins kind of contract, then I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think it's really a discussion for the Eagles. I don't think we can afford it, to be quite honest. Then you have to wonder, because, I mean, you got guys like Tyreek Hill just signed his deal. You remember it was right around the time that the abuse allegations kind of came out against Tyreek Hill, and he got kind of rushed into signing it. But even he signed a 3-year, $54 million extension, guys. 3 years, $54 million, $5.9 million signing bonus. 22.5 of that was guaranteed. You got $35 million in guaranteed money for injury. So an average of like $15 to $16 million against the cap for Tyreek Hill. Like, I wonder, man, because on one hand, you can argue, yeah, but this is a really good wide receiver free agency class, so Will Fuller probably won't get anything close to Tyreek Hill because he's not close to the type of player Tyreek Hill is, and then you have competition to add on top of it. And you're right, guys. That's absolutely a good way of looking at that, and I wouldn't fault your logic there. It makes a lot of sense. But, I mean, there's so many examples of these guys from this draft class. And Tyreek Hill wasn't even the big contract, guys. Michael Thomas was. Michael Thomas's, 5-year, $96 million contract he signed. That was the big one. He had a $20 million signing bonus. He had 16.5 of that $96 million that was guaranteed. I mean, he had escalators. So, the first year of that contract was still coming off his rookie contract. So, he had, $7 million. Then it escalated all the way up to, $18.8 million. So, I mean, Michael Thomas is the really big contract from that class, guys, to be quite honest. You look past that, guys. I mean, we talked about everyone pretty much except for Sterling Shepard. I look at Tyler Boyd, I look at Sterling Shepard, and I say, I look at a guy like Will Fuller, and I don't think he would quite get what they got, but I could make the argument of him coming just underneath of that. That's the problem I have with Will Fuller, guys. Because even Sterling Shepard got a 4-year, $41 million contract, 16 in signing bonuses, $16 million there, 21.260 was guaranteed on that contract. I mean, he's averaging about $10 million a season on the contract. He's got a weird escalator in his contract. I like the way they structured Sterling Shepard's contract. So it went from $8 million to $9 million to $10 million to $11 million. There's these weird little incremental increases he goes through. And he signed a 4-year extension. Obviously his last year of his rookie deal was kind of on that extension. So then essentially what you get are 2 years really that are truly guaranteed on the contract. And then you have an out in that third year. So it's really those last 3 years are more dummy years than anything. With the third year, maybe not calling it a dummy year, more of an option year. The last 2 years being more dummy years. But, Will Fuller probably could easily get that type of deal, guys. I'm not going to sit here and say that Will Fuller couldn't warrant that type of deal. The last aspect when I look at Will Fuller, guys, is, besides trying to decide, is this guy going to get paid like a Sterling Shepard or a Tyler Boyd? When I say paid just like them, guys, I mean just under those deals. Is he going to get paid like a Rashard Higgins or DeMarcus Robinson last year? Is he going to be one of these 1-year trial deals? Trying to figure that kind of stuff out, right? Would he come down on, say some of you guys no, he's not going to get that. He's going to come way under a Sterling Shepard or Tyler Boyd. Then even Jakeem Grant, he got 4 years and 19.7, guys. You go past just trying to figure out the contract mess with him, guys. You have to look at the type of receiver he is. Does he fit what Nick Sirianni's about to do? I'm not going to sit here and act like he didn't get any yak. He got yards after the catch. Will Fuller did. He did. But his yak was a little more similar to Tyreek Hill's. So Tyreek Hill had an average, yards before catch, yards before the reception, basically where he's catching the ball, essentially. Tyreek Hill's was 9.7 yards. Will Fuller's 11.1. He's a little bit more of a vertical kind of threat here, guys. He did average 5.5 yards of yak per reception. Look at Tyreek Hill. That was about 5 yards of yak per reception. Those are more vertical yak stuff, though, man. I'm not saying they still wouldn't fit. You can get yak on things like over routes. You can get them on corners. You can get, all those things still have yaks built into them, right? Post routes do. But I don't think that it's a Michael Pittman type situation to begin with. Their body types, Michael Pittman's 6'4", 225. This guy's 6 foot, 170. There's a big difference in their body structure here. But Michael Pittman, you can see his average like depth, like that yards before catch or yards before reception was 5.3. And then he had 7.3 in yak. I don't think he's that player, if that makes sense, guys. Like, I don't think he's that perfect fit. I would say to me, the more likely guy who's not the perfect fit, but I think could play the roles already on the roster. I'm going to tell you guys, I think that guy's already on the roster. And he's not Michael Pittman. He's not 6'4". He's not 225, but he is a very fit guy. He's just under 6 foot. And I do think this is a guy that can take contact, and I think he's going to be a yak guy for the Eagles. And that's Jalen Reagor. He's already on the roster, guys. I just, Will Fuller. I'm not sold on the scheme fit, guys. I'm not saying he's completely not a scheme fit, because you have to really look at the routes he ran, and I don't have that information on hand right now. I have to look that up. But as I get closer to really breaking down more of the free agency stuff, like obviously I'll give him a look and see exactly what type of routes he was running, just to see if he does run the a very high percentage of the routes we see from Nick Sirianni's scheme, Frank Reich's scheme, basically. So I don't know about the scheme fit, guys, but that's what I got about this young man. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think, number one, Will Fuller's even going to be in our price range? I think that's the biggest hurdle here. Is he even going to be in the price range? Number two, do you think he's a scheme fit? Let me know. Like, where do you guys stand on this? Do you want Will Fuller? Like, does the not playing 16 games concern you? The guy hasn't played 16 games in his entire career. He's coming off a PED suspension. He got a 6-game suspension, I think, back in December for PED use. So, look, Lane Johnson got that same exact suspension. I'm not going after the guy's character. I'm more of a who cares kind of guy when it comes to that stuff, but it's out there. It's there. So let me know what you think. All right, guys, if you want to support the channel, don't forget, link down in the description. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Outside of that, guys, you can like, comment, and if you're not subscribed, you can hit that subscription button. That's what I got for you guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll see y'all on the next video.